So Dave and I, we're here to talk to you today about Salesforce integration with MuleSoft and why we work really well together, and a couple of I guess patterns that you can follow if you're in this kind of situation. So just by way of introduction, I'm David Morris. I'm a customer success architect at MuleSoft, but I'm quite new to MuleSoft. Previously, I was Chief Architect for Salesforce in the UK. So this has been great learning exercise for me, and I've got to work with Dave. So.
My name is Felcey. I'm a lead solution engineer at MuleSoft. Today, this presentation is going to be fairly high level for some people in the room who are super familiar with MuleSoft. It's really an introduction to people who are coming perhaps from a Salesforce perspective, who want to see how they could potentially use MuleSoft to integrate Salesforce with a wider sort of ecosystem of applications. So hopefully it won't lose you along the way.
The agenda, we're going to just spend a few seconds really talking about the context of what is Salesforce, what does that, how can you integrate with it, and some of the different products that they have. Why use MuleSoft over anything else? I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about that, but bulk of the presentation is going to go into common integration scenarios and what you can do about them if you're in this situation yourself. So by meaning of context, I don't know, how many people know Salesforce. Maybe you do know it well, maybe you've never used it before. It's been around for 20 years now, Salesforce overall. It started in '99. This little bit here, it started off with one product, which was CRM. Sales Cloud was to help salespeople sell more products, track accounts, contacts, etc. And then over the years, it's grown quite a lot. So this is a 10-year period here, and then the rest is for the last 10 years. But they do now Sales Cloud. There's a platform where you can build your own apps on it. Service Cloud, which is like customer service. Heroku, which is its own development platform. On and on and on. Marketing, analytics, AI now, Commerce Cloud, which is the old Demandware. Anyone knows that. And then, probably they're not going to stop going, I guess. Now, some of these applications have been either rebranded and absorbed into the other product set, or they've been kept separate, like actually how MuleSoft has been. But this is a very high-level summary of some of the products they have, right? So this is what, if you're on the website now, this is how they advertise the various Salesforce products that are out there. They got a bunch of them around CRM, so sales and service, all that stuff is hosted on the same infrastructure and platform in Salesforce's service. And there's a load of applications as well that are hosted on their own infrastructure, probably because they've been either developed separately or they've been part of an acquisition. But one of the things I wanted to say, and I don't spend too long going in detail on this, but all of the applications have APIs, so various different levels of APIs. Some have SOAP and REST, some don't have those things. Some are kind of connectors that will only connect to specific things, and there's a real mix going on here of how you can integrate. There's also connectors between them. So if you buy like Service Cloud, for example, you have a connector to Marketing Cloud so that you don't need necessarily to go through another integration solution. Now, there's reasons why you would still want to, but the idea here was to make it easy for someone who's got Service Cloud to connect to analytics, for example. Now, the thing that we need to call out here, actually, maybe you can't see it so well, but here's some of the options around how you can integrate. Now, some of them are pretty good in the sense that it's configuration, it's not code-based. The ones marked in red need custom development. So a lot of these, we're going to look at a few of them in a minute, can be set up by an admin really quickly, and it can integrate to an existing service, for example. Some of these could take weeks for a developer to build, and then you've left yourself with something that's been custom built, and it has to be maintained, and. So there are areas on here where I think Salesforce would say, yeah, go for it, and there are areas on here that say, well, a bit caution. And actually, some of these are how a lot of customers roll out Salesforce today. They write a lot of code to make integrations, and that's not necessarily a good place to be in the long run. So, why use MuleSoft to integrate Salesforce?
two key reasons that customers are using MuleSoft to integrate Salesforce with external applications. Speed and ease of use, so the ability to design integrations outside of Salesforce using effective graphical flows or steps where you transform data and connect to other systems. And the ability to reuse things. So, as I said earlier on, you can create an integration between Salesforce and your system, and then you can reuse many of those components to build fresh integrations without having to start from scratch. The other reason is some of the non-functional benefits. So, for instance, you may need to connect to a system by transferring files, for instance, or using some specific authentication mechanism. Salesforce won't necessarily support those things out of the box. And that's where MuleSoft comes in. It's a very flexible tool that's designed specifically for integrations. So they're the two key areas where MuleSoft can really help Salesforce connect to the outside world. And MuleSoft, although we were acquired by Salesforce last year, and we obviously have very tight integrations with Salesforce, there's no plans as such to make MuleSoft a Salesforce-only integration tool. We're still pretty much agnostic about every application out there. So if you want to connect, Microsoft Dynamics to SAP, we can do that just as easy as we can in Salesforce. However, because we're part of the Salesforce organization, our plans in terms of release cycles, etc., are in lockstep with Salesforce. And Salesforce released a new application or a new version of application, and any connectivity we provide to Salesforce is going to be in step with that. So you're going to be able to integrate the latest releases of Salesforce pretty much immediately. The other thing is, although we were acquired last year, we've been working with Salesforce for a long time. Many of the assets you'll see today that we share with people have a lot of years of investment in them already.
So we're going to take a quick look at common integration scenarios now, and we're going to cover three, probably, I'd say. First one we're going to have a look at is, say you've got the need to share data from various applications up into Salesforce, or provide maybe a single customer view. You've got your data saved in many of your different back-end systems. Or perhaps you need some kind of bulk or ETL jobs running to sync various systems together. The second one we look at is augmenting processes. So this is like something happens in Salesforce and it needs to trigger something in system A, system B, system C. And the third one is a bit more strategic. It's where we see a lot of customers going these days, which is towards, I would say, having a platform where many of their systems are integrated and they're starting to expose web services, experience APIs externally for new channels like a mobile app or new website or partners, etc., etc. So the first one, sharing and synchronizing. So this is an example of a customer who's got many different Salesforce orgs in place. So this sometimes happens if you need different processes for APAC region as you do for UK, as you do for EMEA, or maybe it's business units. Sometimes stakeholders want to have something fully customized to them, but often, you have the same customer records in here, the same contact records. It's difficult to have like a single view of the customer, which is kind of what this org wants to achieve down here. And MuleSoft is the perfect tool to help create that single customer view and keep these guys in sync. So if someone changes their names, changes their phone number or something like that, that key information, which is really important for everybody, can be synced across the landscape. And actually, in Exchange, we've got quite a few examples, templates, where you can see a few of these. If you go to Exchange, look for templates, search for Salesforce, you'll see a few examples where, in fact, there's one here, Salesforce org to org for opportunities, or maybe Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics, or Salesforce and Workday. We've got a lot of different wizards, and if you take a look at these, they've got sample flows in them, sample config that can get you started, basically. So you can start integrating your systems with like a sample process. Now, something else related to this is often Salesforce users, maybe like a customer service agent or something, wants to see, I don't know, order history, for example, but they don't have the order data in Salesforce that's in SAP. Our Salesforce built something for this, but you don't necessarily want to upload all your orders into Salesforce because there's all sorts of issues doing that. But Salesforce built a product called Salesforce Connect, which if you have an OData endpoint, you can pull that data in.
But the problem might come is that you don't necessarily have a data source that supports OData. So OData is a way of describing data in sort of fairly generic form. So say, for instance, you wanted to pull in data from e-business suite, or e-business suite, for instance. That may not have no data, may not be able to present the data in an OData format, or maybe you want to pull data from a particular database that you've got in-house. But those kinds of scenarios where Salesforce Connect can't help, you've got a couple of options. One of those options is to use something called MuleSoft Data Gateway. What that can do is it can take data in pretty much any database, and systems like SAP and systems like e-business suite, and it can present that data inside Salesforce as an external object. But you don't have to write the code for this, you literally just configure it, point it at the database, point it at the business suite, and then that data is available to be displayed inside Salesforce as if the data is actually in Salesforce, but you're pulling it on demand. If you've got more esoteric requirements, so you've got a system which we don't have an ability to use Data Gateway for, and what you can do is you can write a process flow, so you can write a sequence of steps using the MuleSoft OData extension. You can connect to anything. So if you've got something in-house that you've written, or you've got some strange application you want to use, then you can use this mechanism to present that data inside Salesforce as if the data was already there. And it's these kinds of scenarios in terms of synchronizing and sharing data that one of our customers called Hologic used. Hologic are a medical manufacturing company in the US and manufactures medical equipment, things like mammogram monitors and things like this. And the challenge they have is 75% of their business comes through resellers, selling to people that are already customers. So customer service was absolutely key for them. They decided to re-platform on top of Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud because they wanted to be absolutely sure that they were harnessing that business as much as possible. In that migration, they needed to hook into all the back-end systems they already had. They already had a ton of applications that the original CRM system connected to. So they needed to integrate Salesforce really quickly with those back-end systems, in fact in 6 months. And they chose MuleSoft to do that because it was able to accelerate their integration time between the existing systems and Salesforce and meet that short timescale. So instead of taking 3 weeks to integrate systems using the existing technologies, it was bringing it down to a week. So effectively accelerating their development by allowing them to synchronize and share data between Salesforce.
So a second scenario, and probably one that most people can relate to in some way or shape or form, is somebody's doing something in Salesforce and we want it to trigger an action in another system, or maybe multiple systems. So we're going to have a look, we've got a video of this in a moment, but there is kind of a new feature of Salesforce, newish I would say, called platform events. What's going to happen is that the sales team update opportunity in Salesforce to say close one, and Sales Cloud is going to fire workflow off that, and it's going to create this platform event. And platform event is just like an event bus, and you can publish your own events to it, and MuleSoft is listening for that. When MuleSoft hears that an event has been published, it's going to take an action, in this case in Workday. And there is a tutorial on this online. It's actually pretty straightforward to get through it. The other thing I want to know before we move into the next one is a lot of developers or a lot of people that implement Salesforce would do this through Apex, which is the custom code language of Salesforce, where you build a call out yourself. So you write a load of code that makes a call out to an endpoint. Now that's fine, and that's worked for a lot of years for a lot of people, but it's not it isn't quite as configurable as platform events, it's not quite scalable, and you can almost guarantee in a year's time you're going to be reworking that piece of code several times over if you want to add new variables, if you want to change the format, etc. So something like platform events where you can listen is a lot slicker.
So what you can see here is in Salesforce, you've got an opportunity, changing the status to close one from prospecting. What that does is it triggers a process flow inside of sales, inside of MuleSoft. You can see here that we pick up the events, we do some, this is where the events being picked up from. This is a Salesforce identified. This is the message that's been sent from Salesforce when someone's clicked on close one. We pick that up. We do some check on it. Then we have to transform it, because obviously the data that Salesforce gives us is not the format of data that Workday wants. This transformation, you can drag and drop fields from one side to the other. You don't have to write this out, it can be done graphically. And then Workday, this is the data that Workday receives. We transform the data. And then we send it on to Workday. And here you can see that the new project being created at Workday, new legal advice. This is a sort of scenario where someone's got an opportunity for some consulting work and they've created a project in Workday to actually manage that piece of consulting work. And here you can see that just like you can look up in Marketplace for applications that are pre-built, you can use Exchange, which is a MuleSoft tool for actually finding out pre-built integrations, so you don't have to build them yourself, you just look at ones that have already been built. Here you're seeing one where someone's written a workflow to take a quote and then create an order in NetSuite. So you pick up a quote and create it in Salesforce, and then you automatically create a quote in NetSuite. There's a pre-built integration flow. And again, this is an example of something which is used by one of our customers. So Splunk provides sort of operational data monitoring. Effectively, all the log files that your applications produce, they can monitor those and extract value from them so they can describe what's happening in your applications. And they're a pretty innovative company. They went to IPO a couple of years back. One thing they were struggling with is that the integration between their back-end applications was slowing them down. They didn't want to lose the impetus they had prior to their IPO. And one of the use cases they wanted to automate and streamline was this quote to cash, quote to order. So when they got a quote, they wanted to be able to provision and fulfill that order really quickly without the manual intervention. They use this particular process flow to achieve that. It took them 20 days to do it. I mean, a pretty smart bunch anyway. But basically, they reduce the time to actually fulfill an order from minutes and hours down to seconds, and completely automated it. And now with Splunk, also pretty much their backbone of application integration. They've got a whole bunch of other applications that they're automating. So basically, people perform operations in one application, and that triggers an orchestration process.
So the third and kind of final, I wouldn't say a pattern, but it's not really a pattern, it's kind of more a strategy. So I guess you put it all together. So you can imagine a world where you have all your various system APIs working and you've got a lot of your business processes automated and you're really happy with what you've got. It really is allowing customers these days to kind of innovate outwards, I guess. So just as an example here, we've got some system APIs down the bottom, got some process APIs automating process around customers, products, orders, etc. And then experience APIs which we built to expose something for mobile, something for maybe the website, self-service, whatever you want to call it, and then partner systems, can use your partner API to, I don't know, sell on your behalf, tell you about orders, tell you about their delivery timelines, etc., etc. And this is a kind of a summary of the API-led approach, which is what is kind of the main story that we talk to customers about these days.
Again, just like you can look up ways of sharing and synchronizing data, you can look up ways of orchestrating process flows. You can also look in Exchange for ways to actually extend applications like Salesforce and Hybris and other applications. And we provide a template, an accelerated template, which actually gives you a whole map of how you can do things like create retail applications. And these links here provide links to different processes. So, for instance, how to expose Salesforce, how to create a process which takes an order in one system and satisfies it in another. And one of our customers who's used this approach very effectively is someone called J-Pilot. They're an organisation that supports freight drivers in the US. So, a quick video to show. I'm not sure what this is happening. There should be a commentary behind this, and there's a video.
Don't feel quite brave enough to like lip sync over them.
No. I can talk to this.
I'll try and get this next slide in. Yeah.
So effectively, what Flying Pilot do is they lorry drivers in the US. They need to stop over, shower, etc. when they're on some multiple trips, and RJ, they have 750 stops around the US, which drivers stop at. They've got a large Salesforce estate and a whole bunch of other legacy applications as well. But they wanted to provide a mobile application to enable drivers to do the sort of common things they do, like filling up fuel, booking showers, finding parking spaces, much more easily. And so they use MuleSoft to wire together these different applications and expose things like inferences IoT services. They've got radar systems inside some of the car parks and tell whether lorries parked there or not. They can tell whether showers are free or not. And they're scheduled bookings. And so what they did is they built a mobile app on top of all these different systems, but using MuleSoft to expose all those services as APIs. They could easily integrate to them from the mobile application. And they cut things like the time it takes to refuel the lorry, which is obviously a big deal if you're a lorry driver, by 90%. They can automate many of the steps that you would have to do ordinarily as part of a refueling exercise. And again, just create a much better experience and to upsell products on top of this mobile platform. And that pretty much covers the use cases we wanted to talk about today. They're kind of overlapping, so you'll find that some of these customers have done synchronization and orchestration as well. Very few customers just particularly choose one of them. There's usually a blend of them. And there's a whole bunch of information you can find online to in more detail about how MuleSoft works. And also, there's a lot of trails now for people who understand. People are familiar with that from a Salesforce background to give you an introduction to MuleSoft and how you can use it to create some of the kind of integrations we'll talk